In this video, we introduce the idea of market failure, specifically by asking what it is that the market is failing to do. When we talk about market failures or government failures, there's a central question we need to think about. A failure to do what? Failure is always measured in terms of a particular goal. So for us, to describe something as a market failure or a government failure, we need to first specify what the goal is. This video lays out what the benchmark is so that you'll be able to identify what market failure even means in the various examples that we'll look at in future videos. First, the idea of market failure is ultimately founded on the fact that most economists lean fairly strongly utilitarian in terms of their ethical philosophy. That is, what is considered desirable is maximizing total well-being. Personally, I think there are serious problems with utilitarianism of this variety, in part because I don't think there are objective units of well-being that would allow us to compare how the joyous psychopath gets from kicking your puppy compares to your pain at watching it happen. But this is the fundamental ethical assumption, that the goal should be, in effect, making the pie as large as possible. At the micro level, we would then ask the question of each individual unit that is produced. Is the production of this unit maximizing social well-being? In order to answer this question, we need to consider two things. First, the value of the good itself, and second, the value of the next best good we could produce with those same resources. That is the opportunity cost. Turns out, though, that we already have this information. The value of the good is reflected in the demand curve for the good. For example, if I'm willing to pay $15 for the third unit of a good, but not $16, the value I attached to that unit of the good is about $15, which is also the height of the demand curve. The value of the next best good we could produce with those resources is reflected in the supply curve. Based on the work we did for price takers, we know that the supply curve reflects marginal cost, which reflects the prices of factors of production. Based on the work we did about resources, like labor for example, we know that entrepreneurs are willing to pay based on the value of the good that the factor can produce. So, for an entrepreneur to purchase the factors of production, they have to pay as much as those factors would be worth to entrepreneurs with the second most valuable use in mind. In brief, the supply curve reflects the value of the second most valuable good that could be produced with the same resources as go into this particular good. So, if we want to maximize value, we should produce every unit for which the value of the good is above the value of those resources in the next best use. That is, we should produce every unit for which the demand curve lies vertically above the supply curve. We should not produce any unit where the value of resources in the next best is greater than the value of the good to the consumer. But that is exactly what competitive markets do. In equilibrium, we have produced every unit where the demand curve rests vertically above the supply curve, and none where the opposite is true. So that is our benchmark. Can the market be expected to reach a competitive equilibrium?